Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, for regular viewers who are now thinking, what's happened to the Kilt-Man channel? It's just become a missing persons channel. No. Don't you worry. Normal service will be very swiftly resumed. But I am interested and intrigued by missing people and this phenomena, the missing 411, especially cases which have an air of mystery and weirdness to them. And if I start something, I like to try to go on with it as well. Hence why I've done updates on Julian Sands, of course missing in the San Gabriel mountain range, the Baldy Bowl area of Baldy Mountain. He went missing. Now it's 2.5 weeks ago. It was Friday the 13th of January. And it seems that the search isn't happening for him anymore. Bad weather has hampered things completely, and a search will only go on for so long, because if it's not yielding results, you can't keep putting manpower and resources and your own rescue teams at risk. You can't do it. They have to have things to go on. Now, friends and family will obviously maintain the search, and this is, as I said in the previous video, this is the sad thing about missing people cases. The news and the authorities will only go on with it for so long. It drops off the radar of the media, and they will not advertise it, publicise it. It will cease to become news to them. But the poor family, the people left behind, who are still wondering and still completely in despair, the agony won't end for them. So at the very least, the thing that I can do is to highlight the fact that these people are still missing. And until we get resolution, I'll continue to do so. But don't worry, there'll be movie reviews coming, and music and masks. Remember masks? I used to review masks all the time, but now I can't afford them. So a big drought of latex in the Kilt Mansion. Anyway, folks, I would love one of these videos I do, like this one, to be in the middle of like going on about missing person, and then someone runs in and tells me, oh, by the way, they've just found them. It's on the news now. They found them. That would be great. I'd be sitting here going like, everything I just said, forget it. They're fine. They're okay. They've been found. They're happy. They're safe. Everything's great. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And I wouldn't mind looking like a complete tit if that actually genuinely happened. It'd be wonderful. As I say, I am not exploiting these cases at all. As you guys know, I make not a penny, nothing from this channel, nothing. More fool me. I should do, and I will almost certainly end up monetizing this channel. But that won't affect, you guys, so don't worry about that. But I've got to start making ends meet. At the moment, my end is meeting nothing but thin air. But, that's a domestic problem, but I'll get around that. Folks, anyway, since I did the last video on Nikki Bulley, who went missing in St. Michael's on the Wyre, on Friday just gone, January 27th, she went missing, and it's now Wednesday, the 1st of February, 2023. I did a video on this yesterday, and as I envisaged, more news came to light. Now, I can't call this an update really, because this stuff was already known but hadn't been made public. It hadn't appeared on any news program. It hadn't appeared on any news media outlet, but it did overnight. So I will now fill you in with the details I've learned literally overnight. In the meantime, cheers you all. That's not water. No, it's wine. I know. Got no whiskey in the house. Well, there's my trusty old stock of J&B, but I like to cling on to that. But I'm drinking this stuff. This one is there. This South African Chenin Blanc. It's a white wine. It's Mrs. Kilt-Man's, but she doesn't like wine. So I'm just discovering that I don't like it either, really. But cheers, y'all. But no, seriously, Nikki Bulley, Nicola Bulley, 45 years old, mother of 2 daughters, ages 6 and 9. Lives with their partner and very happily together. She dropped the two daughters off at primary school on Friday morning, so it's call at 9 o'clock. What's come to light now is that their car was parked in the school car park. They have a little dog, a Cocker Spaniel called Willow, which regularly, after dropping the kids off at school, she takes the dog for a walk along the towpath, along the river bank of the River Wyre. Now, it's only, I think I said yesterday, it's a 10-minute drive from where they live. It's actually not, it's just 10 minutes walk away, really. But obviously she drops the kids off in the car and gets the dog out and off they go. And it's something that she does almost every day. And if she's not doing it, then it's her partner doing it. So the dog is always there. And of course, between 9 o'clock in the morning after dropping the kids off, and the time has now gone down from 10:30 to 10:15 when the dog was spotted by other people that know the dog and know Nikki. And the dog was not on its lead and did not have its harness on. So that would immediately raised alarm bells. So people were searching for it. From that point onwards, the alarm was raised. Police and search and rescue and the fire service who help with search and rescue, airborne, dog teams, everyone came out really quick. And, that's commendable. It's wonderful. Well, I raised the point about why would the dog have no lead on and why would it have no harness on? It's common to unclip your dog and let your dog run free off the lead, but you wouldn't take the harness off. The mystery was compounded by the fact that her mobile phone was found on a bench. In the thumbnail picture, that's the bench where it was found. That's the bench where she went missing from. Her mobile phone was found about 10:30 on that bench, and it was in the middle. It was actually still live, and it was in the middle of a works conference call. She works as a mortgage advisor, and she was in the middle of a works committee chat, and it was still active. The chat was still going on, so the phone was sitting there, but she completely vanished. Now, what I didn't know until after I did yesterday's video is that the lead and the harness, according to some reports, not all, but some reports say that they were on the bench as well. So the lead and the harness, having been taken off the dog Willow, were on the bench. Okay, I put forward a theory in the previous video saying that maybe the dog, why would you take the harness off a dog? You're not going to do that because it's going to be a bugger to get it back into the harness. And the very reason you've got a harness on that dog is to keep more control of it when it's on the lead. I can understand people unclipping the lead, let your dog run free, but then you clip it back on again. The harness should stay on. Most dogs, our dog included, the big husky, Roxy the Wonder Dog, she has a harness because if you clip the lead onto her collar, she'll get out of it. The whole collar will come off. You put the harness on, it's shackled around the body. She can get out of it, but we don't like to remind her of the fact that she's done it a couple of times. But she has Houdini style wriggled out of it. But by and large, a dog does not get out the harness. So it's the extra, guarantee you've got. So I thought, why would you take the harness off? Well, you wouldn't, first and foremost. But she obviously did, or someone did. So I put forward the idea that maybe, just maybe, on the banks of the River Wyre, she's on the phone and her dog's off the lead perhaps, and it's got the harness caught in some shrubbery, some tree roots, just a bush, anything. And she's put the phone down and she can't get it free. I'll have to unclip the harness. Unclip the harness. The dog is bolted and she's gone after it, but slid down. It's quite some of the banks of the River Wyre are quite steep, but they're steep enough. If you go head first, you could knock your head and you could be concussed and you're in the river. So, and then you begin to get swept down, and if you're unconscious, that's not a good way to start off a river journey, to be honest. So that could in theory be what happened, but that's just an idea that I had. The police have focused a lot of attention on the river. They've had underwater teams searching, and well, I'll come on to a bit more of this with the search and rescue team, because I've actually read interviews with the guy that runs the search and rescue team up there. And but another little factoid came to light that they found a witness, right? Now, the headlines of this on the media outlets kind of made it look, oh, they've got a witness. Whoa, we found him, and police are interviewing him. So apparently the police interviewed this guy yesterday evening to Tuesday evening. I think the time when I was making the video, they were interviewing this fella. I don't know his name, but he's an old man. According to one report, he's 72 years old, and he walks a white fluffy dog. Now, and he went to his house. He was identified because other people in the public I said, oh, there was another guy there. You want to go and speak to him. Now, if you sort of link this all together, being a dog walker myself, I think I can theorize what the case behind that is. She's seen walking the dog at the same time most mornings. That guy clearly walks his dog, his white fluffy dog, at the same time most mornings. And other people see them probably talking together, and they know that he would be in the area. Maybe they had seen them together earlier that morning. So they've said, oh, there's this guy, Sid, old Sid, and his dog, Nancy. You can see how that came together, can't you? And he lived at so-and-so. Go and speak to him because he might know something. So I don't think there's anything sinister involved in that. But I thought, well, maybe they were talking and she's gone like, oh, the two dogs play together. Oh, I'll just unclip the dog, and that's why the dogs come off the lead. And they said the two dogs play together and the old guy's there. But then he's gone, and then obviously something has happened at that stage. So obviously the police go and interview this guy. No arrests, by the way. So don't go thinking that. But it's just that there is a potential witness to something that may have happened, and things may come to light which are, completely different from what I've just, theorized. But there's also something else. What's his name? Kev Camplin, who is from he's the leader of the Boland Pennine Mountain Rescue Team. Now, they were called straight away. Now, these guys are civilians. He runs a 25-man strong team of fully trained volunteers. These are civilian volunteers, right? Now, and together with the police and with fire service and maybe ambulance crews and anyone who is trained to look after someone outside, and these guys as well, they're trained. They're even trained to dig for people, like say there's been an earthquake or something. Or someone's gone down, a crevice or a sinkhole. They can dig for people as well. But they're civilians, and they have a very marked remit as to what they can do. And as he said, we were there straight away, and we did our usual search patterns. We did 2 miles upstream and we did 3 miles downstream. And we searched on both sides, in woodlands and the fields. And he said, but what we can't do, we can't enter buildings. We don't have that authority. We can enter, say like a barn in a farm, on farm property, farmland, or in a lot of these sort of rural areas and mountainous areas, and where you've got hiking trails, you've got hikers' huts. You can just get a bit of shelter, have your picnic, do whatever, just refuel. They can obviously enter those, but they can't enter private buildings. The police can do that. But what he said we did everything that we were meant to do, and we even did he said we went a few extra miles. Whether he means that literally, I think he means we stayed out for longer. They're only meant to do a certain amount. It's what it comes down to, the search patterns and the way the searches are conducted. Unless they're called back in again, he said, well, we do our job for the extent of what we're requested to do, and then we have to go because there's nothing more that we can do. We've searched all the areas that we're allowed to search, and as far as we can possibly go, with nothing yielded, there's no point in being there until they get called back. If other evidence comes to light and a new location is highlighted, then they'll go out and do that, if requested. But this guy said, directly opposite the bench where she went missing from, that's the focal point, that bench. On the other side, behind a 10-foot garden wall, is an old, abandoned, very posh country house. very posh. That I've seen it. I've seen a couple of reports of this. Now, again, this only came out sort of like overnight, and it's quite interesting. This, so they said they went over there and they began to investigate the grounds, and but they can't go in the building. They don't have that authority, that jurisdiction. But it's abandoned, and yet the person that owns that abandoned house, country estate, happened to be there. So they said, oh, can you go in to the house and just check that she's not in there? And the guy went in, apparently, and quickly came back out. I said, no, she's not there. I'm not making that sound suspicious or sinister. That's how he literally, in his quote, his interview, that's what he said. And but straight away you start thinking, and look, I'm not going to put words into your heads, but you're already thinking, that's a bit suspicious. Have the police been in that house? Have the police interviewed this guy? Almost certainly. The police would have, that's directly opposite. I mean, if she'd gone in the river, she may have managed to get to the side and crawl out, and in shock, maybe concussion, she's managed to get through the gate and into this building. You don't know. So you would have thought they'd have checked that place out. But it did seem slightly odd to me that, this abandoned country estate, and the guy that happens to own it, it's abandoned, but it's owned, just happened to be there as well. But then again, he might have been there because of this, to try and help out, maybe. But if that was me, right? If that was me and I own that place and search and rescue it outside and I've got nothing to hide, I'm going to go, come in, because I'm going to want people to back up what I've said. So all of you, come in. Oh, by the way, there's no power on or whatever. Use your flashlights. Come on, there's a lot of rooms. Let's all search together. I'd want that backup, As I say, I'm really not. It might sound like I'm trying to insinuate things there. I'm not. But if that was me, that's what I would have done. But the search and rescue had to wait outside while he did a quick cursory search. And I came and said, nope, it's not there. And then you've got to take his word for it, Okay. As I say, I'm not trying to make insinuations. It's just a lot of these things, when you read them, and you read what people say, and you try to you think it through. If you were there, the whole thing would seem different, obviously. But what I will say is this: I forgot his name again. Kev Camplin of the Bowling Pennine Mountain Rescue Team. He said this is an odd case. He said, we've encountered so many things that they're all very experienced, some with different levels of expertise and that, but they're all highly experienced and very highly trained. But he said, and he quoted, the fact that she went missing whilst on her phone. He said, we've never encountered anything like that before. He said, this is a strange case. Now, I'm adding that because there are people who said, oh God, you're making out that this is something strange and mysterious. Because they said, look, it's quite clear. She's just fallen in the river. That's what's happened. Well, I said that. I said, and I still think that that's where she has gone. She's gone into the river. And I've given a couple of ideas as to how that may have happened. It could have been the dogs fighting around and playing about and she stumbled over the dog, or the dog's harness got stuck in something and she's had to take the harness off, hence why the dog was completely unshackled and running free. And in so doing, she's gone over and banged her head and got swept away. I've said that already. But this is mysterious because I've not heard of anyone that's gone missing whilst on a phone. Yes, we've come up with ideas as to put the phone down, and she's took the harness and the lead, according to a couple of reports, are found. That wasn't initially reported because that seemed like a mystery as well. When where is that the lead and harness? But again, there's not much confirmation of this. But we'll take it that they were on the bench as well because that has been said. Lead and harness are found on the bench. Phone is found on the bench, still live, still active, and engaged in a works conference call. That is pretty odd, isn't it? But you can see, she could have put it down to do something and then tumbled. And the more I say that, the more plausible and like, yeah, it's something like that. But then these other little bits are coming in as well, about the abandoned country house just over the river. The owner apparently being there, out of the blue. As usual. No new word from the police. Detective Superintendent Sally Riley hasn't been on the news. But incidentally, this case has been reported on, of all things, Lorraine Kelly in the morning on daytime TV did a little opening segment where they had a reporter up in St Michael's on Wyre, where she went missing. And just literally just say, yeah, she went missing, she's aged so and so. They gave a description out of her, and police are appealing for witnesses and blah blah blah. And what else did they say? Oh, just that who was involved in the search and rescue efforts. Coming back to Kev Camplin, he said it's great that the public get involved in these searches, and it's understandable. People want to help, obviously. I do. I don't drive. If I drove, I'd be up there now, but probably getting in the way, because this is what he said. He said when the public get involved, which is commendable, it ruins the search. He said we're the experts and we know how to search, and we do the certain patterns and we cover the ground methodically and we know what we're doing. But when the public blunders in, they could destroy evidence, they could destroy tracks, they could destroy a lot of information, visual information on the ground itself, which would lead a trained rescue team to the missing person. And it's all done with the best of intentions. There's no means to do that, and they can't really stop people either. Especially when the family get involved and the family is searching, which you totally understand that. Of course you would. You'd be out there 24/7. Of course you would. But I understand his point now at the same time. Also, he said that again about the remit of civilian search and rescue. If an escaped convict or someone armed and on the run, the villain, goes to ground somewhere, even though they'd be the experts at finding them, they're not allowed to, because they're civilians, of course, and you can't put them in harm's way. You've got to have trained teams. But the police have great trained search and rescue units. They've got dogs, they've got airborne, they've got lots of surveillance tech, to find people. I know, because at the back of Kilt Mansion, we have the cemetery, and very often the police helicopter is out there. And it's like a scene from Close Encounters with the beam coming down. Several ne'er-do-wells and miscreants have used the cemetery as a point of hiding or escape, because it's so big and it has entrances on various different streets, which are in different areas of the Kilted realm. So they can go in one way and hide up for a while. Helicopter goes over, police cars have gone roaring down that way, searchlights are out, and then they go out and they will be somewhere about 2.5 miles away from where the police initially thought they were. So shouldn't have given that info away, should I really? Oh dear. I'll get done for aiding and abetting, escaped prisoners now. But, so I understand how search and rescue can be hampered and their efforts ruined by people with the best will in the world just getting involved. But they've been stood down, so they're not even searching now. So now this will be in the entire remit of the rescue services, like fire service, ambulance crews who could be on standby. And the police, helicopters, drones, and the police, I presume, are still searching through the river. Now, if she'd gone into that river, which, it's highly likely, they should have found her by now. It can be a fast-moving river. It can be quite deep. It can rise quite high. But these guys are trained. It's not like the River Mersey. It's a much smaller body of water. I'm not entirely sure how deep it is in various places, but these guys, and they know how to work it, and they will drench it, they will do all, they'll now use electronics to find things under the water. And they haven't found her yet, if she is underwater. So, and the police are still treating this as a missing person case, which it is. And there is the one bit that Sally Riley, Detective Superintendent Sally Riley, has said. They are still, and this was on the Lorraine Kelly show as well, they said that with their interviewer, who's up in the location itself, said that the police are still treating this as a missing persons case. They don't suspect any foul play or any third party involvement. So, took a tumble into the water. Unlike in the case of Julian Sands, where as more time goes by, I'm afraid there really can't be any hope now. And I don't want to say that, because I feel bad saying that. But I really can't hold out much hope for Julian Sands, not after all this time. It just isn't going to happen, I don't think. And with Nikki Bulley, I don't know, several days have gone by, no sign, no evidence, gone in the water, been concussed, unless she's managed to pull herself out the water. But where is she? This is not the vast wilderness. There's lots of little towns and hamlets and villages and farms all the way up and down the Wyre Way and the River Wyre. You can walk, it's quite a distance to do it. I've done part of it. I haven't done the whole Wyre Way. But there are areas where you could walk for a good 2-3 miles. That's nothing, by the way, but a good 2-3 miles along that riverbank and not encounter anybody else. There are. But there's other places where you can see loads of people and dog walkers, and there'll be kids. It's that kind of area. Although it might cover what seems like in the UK, that might sound like quite a long distance, but the UK is tiny. It fits into Texas 3 times or something stupid. That's the entire UK. That's how small we are. So when people go missing here, that's why it's so unusual. They don't get found. So I don't know. But I'd be checking that country estate out though. And keep dredging that river. So search and rescue went 2 miles upstream, 3 miles downstream. But they stayed extra time, and it went further out, on each side of the river. And they know what they're doing. So this is still a mystery, folks. And for those who say, there's no mystery involved, she's gone in the river. You go in the river. Bodies don't stay in the river, by the way. They come up, they do come up. Bodies that have been down that river have ended up on the beach of Blackpool. So, bodies will surface. Water throws back bodies. It does. Unless you get snagged up or you've been weighted down, you're going to come up again somewhere. And you'll be seen floating. And the tide will bring you in to land. So you're gonna be found. There's very few people that go into the water that are never found again. So maybe it's just a matter of time. I don't know. But, where is she? You'd have thought she'd been found by now if she's in that area. So, I don't know. There are mysteries involving this. On a phone, and in very quick time, on the phone, puts the phone down. And again, that's conjecture. We don't know that she's on the phone at the time when whatever happened to her. The phone might have been found afterwards and put on the bench along with the harness and the dog lead. We don't know that she did all that. We don't know that. How would you know that? But again, it's supposition. It's conjecture. You think that, and it kind of makes sense that she'd be the one. And I do believe that she did do that. I'm inclined to think that something happened on the phone. Oh my God, she's put the phone down and she's obviously gone for the dog, took the lead off and the harness off and gone in. That's my assumption, but I can't back any of that up at all. And I really hope and pray that I'm completely wrong and that she does get found somewhere. And whatever the excuse is or reasons, we may never know. if she's alive and they find her and she's repatriated, we're all going to want to know what the answers are. You know, what happened? But you might never know. So, anyway. But cling to hope, folks, that there's a happy resolution. There's 2 daughters there, 2 young girls who want their mum back. That's all they want. You know? And their partner just wants, you know, he wants her back, obviously. So, folks, please, you know, keep a prayer in your heart for these people. I've had other people coming on to me as well saying, by the way, there's a couple of people gone missing on Ben Nevis lately who haven't been found, no trace. Yeah, I know. But as I said before, I really can't, I'm not going to devote too much of the channel to this sort of thing because it's not what I do. But I do find it fascinating, and without a doubt, a lot of you guys do as well. But if I can do whatever to highlight this and keep the names in the frame and keep awareness out, you know, for these people who've gone missing, try and keep, you know, the spirit alive. Don't let these things slide. Don't let them go. The media will let go of these things. They will. But the families are left to endure with no closure. And at the very least, that's what you want, closure. So let's hope we get a happy closing to this, which we may yet get. Who knows? Cheers, y'all. All things considered, even though I didn't buy that was from Mrs. Kilt-Man. I'd rather have the whiskey. I'm not a little old wine drinker, me, you know. I'm not. I'm a big fat hairy whiskey drinker. Folks, I have been on with Charlie Kilt-Man. In the meantime, and it's ever, I don't know, perplexing, bewildering, befuddling in between time, please keep it Celtic, keep it Celtic. And if you're in the area, you know, just keep your eye out. But be wary of this sort of thing, of launching in to help, because I think the team leader, mountain rescue team leader, had a really valid point there. In some cases, they will ask the public to come out because, look, we've got to get, if it's an earthquake or something like that, a building's collapsed, they're going to want everybody there to move rubble and just, there's been a flood, people have been swept away. You want everybody there. You want, you know, boots on the ground. You want ground pounders, just to, you find anything. Then it's balls to the wall at that stage. But in a case like this, where you want to try, maybe find tracks, or there may have been foul play, everyone converges, you completely ruin what would be a crime scene, or the evidence is gone. Or evidence will lead to a successful finding of a missing person or an injured person, you know. But I completely understand why people do get involved, because you want to help. Most of us want to help and do the right thing. There's only a small percentage of people that are totally against that, and there's even a smaller percentage of them are the ones that actually go and cause problems, you know, and they're the ones where people have gone missing. They're even less. So don't be walking around afraid of what's happening, you know, but just be wary all the time. Look after yourself and your own and your mates. And if everyone else did that as well, the world would be a better place. So with that in mind, folks, I'm going to see you all later. Now, I am going to be back with a couple of sort of more conventional videos today. So tune in later.